Today, I'm going to recommend 3 books that are proven to help you become a better filmmaker. Stay tuned. What's up, guys? I am Rob Federick, and welcome back to my channel. I am a filmmaker with over 20 years of experience. I've directed a range of projects from commercials to music videos to award-winning short films and a feature film as well. I also worked on the development side for a major reputable studio. And the goal with this channel has always been to give back to you, the aspiring filmmaker, all the advice and tools necessary to elevate your filmmaking skill sets to the next level. And diving deeper into that, really, it's important to me for you to know that all of the advice or strategies that I offer on this channel really comes from personal experience or experience from professionals and colleagues that I work closely with that have applied a lot of what we talk about on this channel personally to their careers and have seen growth in the filmmaking industry. And they're all working professionals, earning a living as filmmakers, as I am. And my goal is to give you guys really hands-on experience that I know has worked, that you guys can take out into the field or into your projects, apply it, and see actual growth for yourselves. If you can drop a like and subscribe, it definitely helps support the channel, helps to grow the community. It helps to allow me to continue to make these videos and be able to share more of my experience with you guys as much as possible. So guys, I've actually been traveling for the last 2 weeks, so I apologize that I haven't posted a long-form video in a little while, but today I'm actually going to give you a very valuable one because I'm about to recommend 3 of my favorite filmmaking books of all time. Actually, one of them is not a filmmaking book, and it's very unconventional, but it applies to filmmaking in a very big way. I'm going to save that one for last just because it's one of the coolest ones out of the 3. Also, guys, after I review each book, I'll share with you guys how I actually applied a lot of the learnings that I got from each book practically to my own career and saw improvement in my filmmaking skills or growth in my filmmaking career. And it's important because I want you guys to know that these books have actually provided results as opposed to just being a blind book recommendation. You guys are getting actual information that can help you to improve your career in a very big way like I did with mine. So let's get right into it. So number 1, Directing Actors by Judith Weston. This book in particular is really, really good. Obviously, if you want to be a director, right? It applies to anyone that wants to be a filmmaker, producers, actors, but mostly for directors and actors because this book is really, really powerful in the way that you approach in talking and communicating with actors and how to work with them efficiently. I can't tell you enough that I've seen so many amateur filmmakers or beginner filmmakers that, you know, they're really preoccupied. Obviously, we are visual storytellers, right? But these directors are so focused on what they're seeing on the monitor or on camera. They're really worried about the lighting and the visual aspects and making sure that everything looks crisp on frame that they sort of neglect the actor and sort of what their needs are in order to get the best performances. And I will tell you, I made a video about the 5 things that make your films much better quality. One of them was having good actors. And you can have the best actors in the world, but if you don't know how to work with them or communicate with them on their level, you're actually going to have a much harder time and you may not get the performances that you want. Actors are creative individuals. They like to build. I can't tell you a single actor that's serious about acting that doesn't want to aim to please the director and make sure that they're putting out their heart and soul in front of the camera. A lot of the times actors will really go out of their way to make sure that their character has a full-on backstory and knows how to present itself on camera. And a lot of the times I've seen it countless times, amateur directors come in and they're just like, well, yeah, just do this and that. And you're not giving the actor enough information. Now, seasoned actors may be able to roll with that, but it may not end up being the direction that you want or more so the performances, right? So this book is really solid in helping you sort of understand the mind of the actor and how, as a director, to not only communicate effectively with your actors, but to drive out the best performances possible. It encompasses a wide variety of aspects of directing actors. I can make a whole video just about this book. Actually, I can make a whole video about all 3 of these books. But one of the most important things that I took away from this book is your communication language that you use when talking to actors. The most important aspect of directing is really working with actors and driving performance and make sure that you're directing the action where you want it to go and that you're telling the most compelling story possible. And in order to do that, you need to know how to work well with actors. And this book really, really does that efficiently. It has tons of anecdotal stories, there's some really great chapters in here about a bunch of stuff. I mean, like I said, there's so many aspects to it, but the most powerful thing, like I said, that I drew from it was that you have action words. And the way that you communicate with actors is very important. For example, you want to get someone to be happy. You want someone to be laughing really hard, right? And you can just give them the note, okay, in this scene, I just want you to laugh really hard. Okay, a good actor might be able to roll with that, but maybe it's better, right, if you give more seasoned action words, something that's a little more tangible in the actor's mind, like, hey, on this one, I want you to belly laugh as if your ribs are about to explode because you have so much laughter in there that you just cannot seem to control it with your gut, and you cannot contain that laughter, right? That's better than saying you want to laugh really hard, right? Because you're giving the actor a visual sense of you have so much laughter, you can't even contain it, your ribs are about to explode. So they're gonna hold themselves in. You're gonna prompt an action in their mind. Another example of that is if you had, for example, an argument scene and your two actors were arguing and you want your actor to say X, Y, and Z to them, but you're like, hey, I want you to be really mad at this person when you say it and deliver it with a lot of anger. And again, a seasoned actor might be able to roll with that, but this book really teaches you to think a little bit beyond just simple emotion and really dive deep into what your story is about. And so you really want to make sure that you're engaging the actor to drive the best performance possible. So an example of, instead of just saying you're going to be really angry, maybe you go up to the actor and say, hey, on this scene, I want you to really command the other person, like you're a drill sergeant and you are commanding them because you are relentless. You will not bow down. You are a rigid drill sergeant that will not take no for an answer. It prompts a much more powerful response in the actor's mind, which is much more tangible. It gives them a lot more range to play with and may deliver exactly what you want. This book does that really, really well. They have a whole section in the back of just words so that you can figure out how to communicate with actors. That is just a brief overview of just how to direct actors. I'm actually gonna make a whole video about directing actors, and the way that I used the information in this book and applied it practically in my own career and saw results from it. I was actually directing this scene with an actor, and it was kind of a tricky scene. The actor was supposed to be stepping on a landmine, and he knew he was in trouble. And something about the scene just wasn't clicking with the performances. So I went up to him and said, look, you're doing a really great job, and I think you're on the right track, but I want to try a different approach. On this next take, let's just have you pretend, right, that this landmine is old and the triggering system just doesn't work right. You don't know, right? It's an old landmine. It can go off at any moment, right? Not just if you take your foot off of it. Like this thing could explode at any moment. A gust of wind could trigger it. But just at any second, this thing can go off. What are you thinking about in those moments? And I just saw his eyes light up because he felt a very imminent sense of danger right away. It wasn't the fact that he knew his character was going to eventually meet his demise from the landmine. It was, oh my God, I'm in a stressful situation. This landmine can go off at any moment, and I need to make sure that I relay this information to this next character. And then the scene was like magic. And really what I attribute to is the information that I took from this book, because it allowed me to think in a way how to make it more tangible for the actor, and also how to communicate with the actor on a level that didn't make him think that he was doing a bad job. All right, and with that, let's move on to number 2. Now, this book doesn't also apply to everybody, but it is one of the best storytelling books I've ever seen. And if you want to be a writer-director, this is one of the best books if you want to just be a writer, this is one of the best books I can recommend. But again, producers, anyone that's in the film industry should read this because it'll give you a better understanding of story. And that is Save the Cat. Yeah, really interesting title, Save the Cat, but it's for a very specific reason. And the quote from this one is the last book on screenwriting that you'll ever need. And this was written by Blake Snyder. Unfortunately, Blake Snyder has passed away, and he hasn't been able to update this book because he used to have an online resource where you can actually submit scripts and he would review them, or if you had questions or anything that he would add in addition to the book, they would update it regularly. Unfortunately, he passed away, so that resource is no longer available, but the book in itself stands out as one of the best filmmaking books out there. It is one of the best screenwriting books, if not the best screenwriting book of all time. And really, it's because Blake has this fantastic understanding of what makes a movie good, what makes a movie marketable and sellable, and what makes a movie structurally sound. And the reason why it's called Save the Cat is very unconventional. It's because you need to make sure that the audience cares. That is your primary objective when telling a story. You want the audience to care, for them to invest in watching your movie. And most of the time, you're going to want to root for a main character or hero that you're watching, even if they're a bad guy, right? But the Save the Cat title comes from the Save the Cat moment in a script, which means that you want the hero to do something like save a cat out of a tree, or something that's going to make you like the character and make you want to root for him or her more than if you just met a character that you didn't have any sort of association with. It's a really good technique to get you to invest in a character, and this is just one of a myriad of techniques that Blake puts in this book. I think I read this in like a day. I am not a fast reader whatsoever, but I was so invested in this book. I mean, I've got it highlighted all throughout, right? Because there's so much valuable info in there. But this book will also give you some amazing ways to get over the all fearful writer's block. If you're one of those people that suffers from writer's block, or you don't really know, like a lot of the times we get ideas for scripts, right? And we think about, well, I know how I want my script to start, or you've got this really great idea for a character that you want to do, or great idea for a scene. This book will actually help you flesh that out into a full-fledged movie, because the techniques that they show you are actually really proven. Blake himself was a screenwriter for Hollywood, and he sold multiple scripts using these techniques. And a lot of people that I know in Hollywood sell scripts based on these techniques. In fact, Dan Povenmire, who we're going to have on the channel at some point soon, was the one that recommended this book. He attributes a lot of his writing prowess to this book, and I've seen it evidently in his work. So how this applied practically to my career, like I said, I know Dan Povenmire has used it on a lot of his writing with his shows, but also I actually had a script that I was developing where I was sort of stuck and I didn't really know where I wanted to take it. And I eventually really applied it to a feature that I wrote, and it opened it up in brand new ways that I didn't expect. I actually teamed up with a great writing partner, and together we applied the knowledge from this book, and it helped us so much. And now the script is well on its way to being developed into a feature film that we hope to make next year. When I say that this book will help you improve your screenwriting skills, believe me that it will. Number 2, Save the Cat. All right, so we've reached the point of the third book, which isn't really a filmmaking book at all. It applies to filmmaking in a very, very big way, but the intent of the book wasn't for it to be a filmmaking book. And if you've already glanced at the description for the links for these books, you might have already seen the title, which sounds like a filmmaking book, but it really isn't. And that is Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. Oren Klaff is actually not a filmmaker. He is a deal maker, or deal closer, I should say. This guy has closed hundreds of millions of dollars in deals for startups, new technologies, you name it. This guy knows how to make deals and get people with the money to invest in whatever project you are doing. And he has a fantastic Instagram channel and YouTube channel, I believe, too. This guy really knows his stuff. He knows how to communicate. He knows how to reach people with money and get them to understand what your project is about and close deals. And this book is all about that. Now, again, it's called Pitch Anything because it can be anything, literally anything. I applied it to filmmaking because that is the industry that I'm in, and that's inadvertently where I have to be pitching a lot. If you want to make a movie, you're still going to have to raise funds somewhere, and you're going to have to pitch, either if it's a studio or an investor or whoever you are, your uncle that might put money into your short film or whatever. You need to know how to pitch people and know how to be good in a room, and this book is all about that. A lot of people have fear, myself included, like pitching people on a high studio level can be a scary thing, but this book really talks about how to bypass that and really understand how to engage people on a psychological level that makes them understand that you know what you're talking about. And that is the most important thing when pitching deals, is having the confidence and be able to relay information to get people excited to invest in you. And there's a lot of really valuable strategies and tips in this book that are going to help you understand your mindset going into a room, how to engage with people, how to deal with shit traps. I'm sorry to say the word, but like a lot of times people, you know, that are on the other end feel like they're high and mighty, and they may test you and push you a little bit. And you have to be able to know how to bypass that and have the confidence to sort of move that aside and continue on with your pitch so that you get what you need. The other thing about this book is that it talks about how to make it structurally sound and concise enough so that you can pitch anything in 10 minutes and get people to invest. So highly recommend this book if you're a producer, but also a director, writer, anyone that wants to pitch projects, definitely read this. How this applies practically to me is I'm actually developing my own pitches based on a lot of the advice on this book. But I've actually been on the other end of the table when I worked as a development associate for Lionsgate and Pantaleon, where I would actually sit in on pitches and writer meetings of people that were trying to get us to pick up their projects. And I'm gonna tell you right now, a lot of the advice that I read on here, if that was applied to some of the pitches that we had heard, maybe we would have closed more deals. Some of the more unknown people that were pitching us, you know, a lot of them didn't really have a lot of pitching experience. And if they had read this book, it may have engaged us in a much bigger way to pick up their project, because honestly, a lot of the times it doesn't mean that you have to have the best project in the world. You can have a great project and bomb your pitch and not get your movie made. So you really have to know how to apply these techniques to get into the room with people and engage them in a way that is going to make them listen, pay attention, and invest. Highly, highly, highly recommend this one. It's probably my favorite out of the three, and it isn't even a filmmaking book. Anyway, guys, that will do it for today. These are my top 3 recommendations for any filmmaker to read. These are fantastic books, like I said, and I've applied strategies from every single one of them. Anything that you learn from these books, yes, this is very valuable information. You can go out and actually apply this. You will get amazing results. But nothing beats hands-on practical experience. So anything that you learn from these books, make sure that you apply it and practice it. Don't just read it and think that you've got it. Go out and try it and practice it and see how it works for you. And remember, guys, my goal with this channel is to give you as much practical hands-on advice that has been tried and tested for you guys to elevate your skill sets to the next level. And these books have provided nothing short of that to me in my career. So highly recommend all 3 of these. There are links to these books in the description below, as well as an honorable mention section, which I've provided a few more books that are well known within the industry that are very valuable as well. I didn't necessarily include them in this video because I feel like these 3 have been like the most influential in my career, but those books are nothing short of excellent as well. So feel free to check those out as well. And definitely, if you guys buy them through the links, it helps support the channel even more. So I would appreciate all of that. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys have taken something away from this video. I have some really great videos down the pipeline for you. We're going to have Dan Povenmire on the channel. We're also going to have a filmmaker who made a feature film for practically no money, talking about his experience and sharing it with you guys so that you guys hopefully can apply similar techniques if you want to make your own feature films. And that's sort of a sneak peek of what's to come. And anyway, guys, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps support the channel, as I said. And again, guys, make sure you guys are staying creative. Let's forge that creative future, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.